WackMatters is brought to you by audible.com. If you go to audibletrial.com/WackMatters, you can sign up for a free 30-day trial where you can test out Audible's awesome audiobook monthly subscription service. Make sure to go to audibletrial.com/WackMatters.
Whack.
Whack.
Whack. Whack. Whack. Whack. Whack. Whack.
Whack. Whack. Whack. Whack. Whack. Whack. Whack. Whack. Whack. Whack. Whack. Matters.
We hard peaked that. That's horrible audio. I'm so sorry to all of our listeners. And good news is we don't have that many. Or hopefully we went viral. I don't know. Who freaking knows?
I can make us go viral.
Okay, no, please don't. Please don't. I take it back. Please don't. Please. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of Toon In. This is the show where we believe that cartoons and select cartoons can be made in such a way that they're for all ages, that families can come together and enjoy these shows where they treat kids like they're intelligent and tell a good comprehensive story, and they treat parents as if they want their kids to enjoy things and like they can watch it and enjoy it with their child. It tells good stories about very good things, and they don't hold back. They for things, if they can't show them, they allude to them, and it's just good storytelling that is appropriate for children also. I am your host, Marcus Nip. This is my co-host,
Billy Joel.
Karsten Miller. Whew. So, we finished Dragon Prince. We're now talking about Justice League Unlimited. We're going to be going through all of Season 1, so the next few episodes of Toon In are going to be about Justice League Unlimited, but we're only going to be talking about the first 2 episodes of Season 1. This show is
overhyped.
Not wrong. Wrong. Ah, man.
I just felt like triggering you there. That's all. This show has a special place in my heart. I love this show. I own all of it on DVD. It is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Shout out to my brother, for this was 2 different Christmas presents. 2 years, I got Justice League Unlimited Season 1 and then Season 2 from Michael for Christmas. Big fan of this show. I can't say enough good things about it, so I'm hoping that Karsten looks at it with a very realistic eye and can critique it better than I can, because I will have a bias towards this show. How about I just let you say everything good about it, and then at the end I just go in and rag on everything.
You'll just freaking dump
completely make up stuff if I have to.
Trash. No, okay. No, I mean, let's be honest, but I think that, like, if you notice something that's not good about the show, odds are I won't see it. So you can point out the negative things about the show. But let's give it a quick little background. So there's a TV show. You probably have heard of it. We're going to do it at some point on this show called Batman the Animated Series. It was made by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm. Yes.
You're supposed to know these things.
Sorry. Okay, chill. And then after that show, or kind of during that show, there was a Superman show called Superman the Animated Series, and then Batman Beyond, and then a show called Justice League, and now a show called Justice League Unlimited. So, what we were kind of doing is, we're starting at the end here. So there's this thing that exists called the Bruce Timm verse. And sort of this Bruce Timm verse, was all the shows that Bruce Timm was the artist. And he had a lot of to do with pitching stories and talking about stories. But he's the artist. He made kind of the look and the design of all the thing. Hold on. No, excuse me.
Salute.
So, we're starting at the end with Justice League Unlimited, kind of the culmination of a lot of that. And to that, I'm kind of sorry, but also
Wait, this isn't like...
I think we're starting with the best. I think Justice League Unlimited is one of the best all-ages shows that exists. We, if you don't know, I mean, obviously Justice League, it's DC superheroes kind of getting together. Unlimited, there's a bunch of them. But let's kind of save it and we can talk about the show and let it sort of develop over time.
This was basically like back when like the DC universe was like not ruined by the DC cinematic universe. Like when it didn't have the bad rap, when it was actually good.
Well, I would... I would argue that, like, this show made it good. Like, this show... So, a neat thing of how influential Batman the Animated Series is, I've listened to a podcast called, by Kevin Smith, called Fat Man on Batman, where, during the kind of earlier episodes of that show, he would interview, big influencers in... the Batman world, whether it be, people who worked on Batman the Animated Series, or people who were writers for DC, or Marvel, or whatever, and, Batman the Animated Series would always get brought up anytime a comic book writer was talking about Batman. It was always a show that inspired them and they loved. Like, it's a show that's done a lot, and I think that, like, a lot of the general public, like, as far as, like, what they know about superheroes, and, like, especially the DC pantheon, comes from the animated series shows. Comes from Batman, Superman, Batman Beyond, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited, whether they know it or not. To where, like, a lot of people, I think there's a firm generation, and a large part of the generation, that their Green Lantern is John Stewart, which is the African-American Green Lantern from this show. Which is why I don't know why they went with Hal Jordan in that horrible Ryan Reynolds movie.
Yeah, before that movie, to me, like, Green Lantern was black.
Yeah, like, it's because people know him from this show, and I would argue that there's a better pitch for John Stewart. I think biases here. I think John Stewart's a better Green Lantern. I like him a lot, and I think I'm in the minority.
I mean,
it's usually a toss-up between Hal Jordan and Kyle Rayner, but we're not talking about comic books. We're talking about the TV show that is Justice League Unlimited. So first we are going to be talking about episode 1.
Initiation.
It was released July 31st, 2004. Written by Stan Berkowitz.
Let's just refer to him as Stan the Man.
We're going to call him Stan. What were your initial thoughts? I freaking love this show.
Yeah, so you're going to be pretty biased.
Yes.
So, initially, I didn't have cable as a kid, so my television experience was limited to whatever was playing on PBS Kids, and then that was it. Because this was back before Netflix and all that stuff, before everything was at our fingertips. So this is kind of a new experience for me. Like, I haven't seen the show before, and honestly, like, right off the bat, it just jumps straight into the show. Not in like a bad way where you're kind of lost. It jumps straight in as in, like, it doesn't take a whole bunch of time to rev up. Like, it opens up with
a pretty well choreographed tight action scene.
Yeah, basically, this guy and a group of thugs decide that they're going to rob a bank, a supermarket. And they start robbing the supermarket, and then all of a sudden, spandex-clad Cupid, not Hawkeye, jumps in. And
Green Arrow.
Yeah. And shoots him up with a bunch of arrows, and it's just like, peace out, I saved you guys, you're welcome, bye. And then he gets beamed up to the Justice...
Green Lantern comes.
Yeah, and it's just like, hello, fellow Green Man. And they have a little back and forth, and end up getting beamed up to the Justice League space station base of operations.
It's called the Watchtower. They talk about it a lot and stuff. For easier purposes, let's get the terminology out of the way. We'll explain the terminology the first time we use it, but ideally you're listening to this episode in order, so whether you listen to the Dragon Prince episodes or not, we are talking about a new show, so if you're jumping in, this is the jump off point, but for later episodes, we're going to be using terminology that the show talks about. So, Watchtower's their space station where all those superheroes are from.
Thank you for that little tidbit of knowledge, that little nugget of wisdom. Okay, so they're in the Watchtower now, and there are lots and lots and lots of superheroes. And normally, when you're like setting up a show, you don't see all the characters right off the bat, but seeing that this is not the first show in the series, it kind of makes sense that all of those characters are there already, because you've already met them in previous runs of different shows that are connected in the same universe. So they're up there on the Watchtower, and Batman and Superman and Martian Manhunter are like, hey guys, guess what? There's a problem down on Earth. This place probably China. I can't remember if they specify where it is exactly.
I think it's a made-up place.
Okay, but the guys look like Chinese Russian.
Well, yeah, like
guys.
they give it they give it a name, but it's a fictional place. So they get a big speech before they leave for the Watchtower, from Superman, essentially saying, "Hey, so this show is right off the coattails of the Justice League TV show. So in that show, there's 7 heroes, and you'll learn this sort of through Justice League Unlimited as it goes on, but." It starts with 7 heroes, and now Justice League Unlimited is sort of open to the entire DC pantheon of heroes. So Superman's giving them a speech, like essentially saying, here's how things are going to work. So they talk about how Martian Manhunter is going to be kind of organizing everything, and it's going to be a well-oiled machine, but they're going to kind of run off of a system by Martian Manhunter. Also, you get a little back and forth between Batman and Green Arrow, and Green Lantern and Green Arrow, about how he doesn't want to be part of the Justice League.
Green Arrow is more of a lone wolf kind of guy.
And he thinks that he's a very... and they do a neat thing. In the comics, Green Arrow is very liberal as far as politics go. And they hold true to that in this show, to where he doesn't like the idea of this big kind of force throwing their weight around, being a bunch of sort of superpowered thugs almost. Some could construe it as that, so he wants no part of that. He wants to look out for the little guy, as he said. He's not a monster fighter. It's an important plot point. So, as Carson said, there's a big radiation explosion or whatever.
In not China.
That Captain Atom, Green Lantern, Supergirl, and Green Arrow tags along.
Green Arrow's just like, okay, you're taking me back to Earth, I'll go with you.
Yes, he doesn't like the teleportation device, so he wants to leave on the Javelin or the plane. Take it away.
So they go to the location of this nuclear mishap, and they're exploring, and then all these not Chinese soldiers come up, and they're just like, "Hey, you, get out of." That's
racist.
That's not even a Chinese accent.
You did a racist, is what you did.
I did a racist. So
keep going.
So they're just like, "Get out of here. We don't want any part of your business. Skedaddle." And Green Arrow decides, you know what? While we're here, I'm just gonna like not play along, because Green Lantern is just like, okay, guys, we just need to like play along with them and not interfere. And then once we earn their trust, they'll let us investigate what's going on. We'll kind of just like lay low. But Green Arrow's just like, you know what? I want to get out of here as fast as possible. So he runs off on his own, goes rogue, and it's just like, okay, I'm going to figure this out myself. And they discover that this nuclear mishap is actually this giant flaming monster robot thing.
Yeah, that's powered off of nukes.
Yeah.
And it looks really... Okay, real quick also, let's just acknowledge... What did you think of the art style? Like, how do you think the show is animated, and what do you think of the art design of the entire show?
It feels very 2009.
It came out in 2004, for getting ahead of its time.
Oh, okay.
But,
feels very 2003.
Okay, but
2004, that era.
Here's the thing. I think it looks pretty sick.
Yeah, it is a very good art style, and...
like, also, like, the perspective, like, so... I don't want to be that guy, and I love this show, and I just want to say good things about it. We talked about in the last show we watched, in The Dragon Prince, and in other shows, they have this bad habit of, it looks like, you know how like when you play like a computer game and it's like sort of pseudo-lagging, but it's not like lagging, you're losing like 1-2 frames every now and then.
So it looks a little sluggish?
It's like chugging. It feels like it's chugging. Dragon Prince and a lot of other animations do that. These shows don't. Like, Justice League Unlimited doesn't chug.
Is Justice League...
It's smooth.
Is that perhaps... Is it a hand-drawn show? Like, frame-by-frame hand-drawn?
Yeah.
Yeah, that... Shows like that often don't.
And it's really good. Like, it's phenomenally done. And, like, again, I don't want to just rag on this, but also, just a shout-out, the robot looks very cool.
It does.
It looked tight, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it, because the robot looks freaking sick. Keep going with the plot summary.
So Hawkeye is like,
Green Hawkeye.
Green not Hawkeye is like, oh wow, giant robot. I'm gonna shoot it with my arrows.
It kind of does nothing.
Surprise, surprise. Arrows aren't effective. Green Arrow used poison dart. It was not. It had no effect.
So then then Captain Atom and Green Arrow or Green Lantern and Supergirl show up.
They're just like, here, let's clean up your mess.
Yeah, they help fight off the robot,
slapped around,
and save the people. Though the bridge went out, so there's a bunch of people who are about to get killed by this radiation monster robot. Green Lantern helps them across. They all get into a fight. Then he is not able to block a blast, a direct, like, point-blank blast from the radiation robot. What's a good name to call him?
The Rad Robot.
Rad Robot.
Radbot.
Green Lantern kind of gets taken out.
Yeah, he's down for the count, like, hospitalized.
Yes. So
Captain Atom's just like, okay, guys, I got this. He goes up and he takes these special... Well, first they escape, and they're just like, okay, we gotta, like, recoup.
Then they go and they talk to the people at the kind of... They learn...
The not Chinese scientists.
They learn, essentially, this was made because they were on the brink of war, and they wanted something to kind of protect themselves.
But they got greedy and created a monster.
Yeah, and so they lost control, and then they built a way to stop it, but the radiation's too hot, so you can't get close to it. There's these long rod things that you got to put in the chest of the robot. Essentially, you put one in there, it shuts down. So Captain Atom, Supergirl, Green Arrow are like, all right, let's go do it.
Mm-hmm. So Captain Atom's just like, okay, I'm essentially just energy in a suit, so I should be able to handle the radiation.
He has all radiation, like his powers are radiation based.
Yeah, so he's just like, okay, I can handle this. So he takes the rods and he flies up there and he's about to jam the rods into the port, and then his suit gets ruptured and he's like, oh crap, and he just dips and goes up into space and explodes, and he's gone. He's gone now. So Supergirl's just like, well, I mean,
she gets a little angry, a little heated.
I'm pretty much Superman. I'm pretty much God. I can do this. So
gets slapped across the map. Before you know it, no powers, no special space police ring. Green Arrow is the last guy at the last line of defense.
I'm gonna shoot it with a bunch of arrows. Maybe that'll do something.
Oh, shoot! It didn't do nothing. It didn't do nothing.
Cooter, hit the cannon.
We're gonna need a crossbow. So he essentially he tries to shoot the rods into
the port, but he misses because he's not Hawkeye.
He misses twice.
Hawkeye would have made the shot.
He has one last rod, and he kind of takes his time. He connects it to one of his arrows while the whole time dodging blasts and getting closer and closer and closer to getting hit. He's getting tired. He's getting hot from the radiation. It is not looking great.
He's been hot this whole episode. That character doesn't have those broad shoulders.
Oof, man, just freaking wide.
Those tight pants.
Those tight Robin Hood pants.
That sick facial hair. He is a man's man.
He does have a good goatee.
You may not like it, but
that blonde hair?
That is what the ideal male body looks like.
That blonde hair? So he then,
getting a little excited.
Sort of the last time, in the nick of time, that's what I was looking for, uses that last rod. He gets it into the port.
Slips the rod right into the port.
The robot shuts off, and Supergirl flies in, punches the head off the robot. The day is saved. They all go back up. You find out that all of them are fine, so Green Lantern's going to make a recovery. Because they got the energy. They were able to save the energy from kind of expanding.
From Captain Atom. They're able to shove it back into the suit.
And then Batman's sort of talking to Green Arrow at the end of the episode, saying, I heard you stopped a monster. You said you weren't a monster killer, but you stopped that monster.
He's just like, hey dude, we could really use you. You should join our team. And he's just like, nah man, I'm not gonna, hey, is that a cute chick? I'm gonna stay.
Yeah, and essentially the idea is Batman says, we need you to keep us honest. And I bring that up because that's a plot point that is brought up later. It is an important line. This is episode 1. They get right into the action. They also get right into the things that matter. They're going to hold over and be relevant. So there are things that matter for the entire season that happen in this episode. That's why I kind of brought that up.
Yeah.
That's episode 1, though. So Green Arrow essentially chooses to stay because he thinks Black Canary. You don't know it's Black Canary yet. He finds her attractive.
Unless you know anything about the DC.
Yes, but she's not been introduced as a character, necessarily.
In this series.
Well, yes. In this show. That's episode 1, Initiation. Let's get into episode 12.
For the man who has everything. Because, ladies, you should take notes. This episode will really teach you what to get for that man in your life who has everything.
So this was released...
Just kidding. We have no way to help you.
This was released August 7th of 2004, so it was a 2-week gap for some reason, rather than a week. So they missed a week, and then episode 2 of the show came out. This is based off of a comic book written by Alan Moore. So, like, it is a pretty close adaptation. There's a few changes, but not important enough. The comic book's really good. This episode's also really good. It was very well put together. It holds true to the continuity of the TV show, and that kind of is the only few things it changes about it to kind of make it make more sense in this universe. Mm-hmm. But the episode itself was written by a J.M. DeMatteis. I don't know. I'm bad at names.
DeMatteis.
Essentially, the way this one starts is you get sort of what's called the Trinity in the Batman, or in the DC universe. So you get Superman, you get Batman, you get Wonder Woman. It's the main characters of this. Batman and Wonder Woman flying to the Fortress of Solitude in the Invisible Jet. Talking about how it is Batman's birthday. So, not Batman, Superman's birthday. My bad.
Every day is Batman's birthday. Why? Because he's Batman.
You're the worst. So they show up, they're talking about it, they make there's a good, funny joke where Diana yells at Bruce for she's like, you didn't get him a gift certificate, did you? And he's like, no. And he has an envelope, he got him cash. It's a fun joke. Because, like, he's like, what do you shop for? And he says, let's roll credits if you're a CinemaSins person. He says, what do you get for the man who has everything?
Money. They
show up. Superman has some weird plant alien.
He's all tangled up in tentacles and all that stuff.
And has some weird plant alien on him. And you come to find out this is a really simple episode that is largely taken up by a fight, essentially. We can kind of like...
It's just a giant fight scene with some
some
emotional filler.
Yeah, so what's going on is Superman, a plant alien on him, is making him live out the life that he wanted.
His
inside that...
deepest fantasies.
Yes, so he is on Krypton still. Everything's fine. He's married with a kid, and he's living life on Krypton, and he's loving it. Like, he's a farmer.
He's married and has a kid, or he's married with a kid?
He's married and has a kid.
Thank you.
Important. Did I say with a kid?
You said he's married with a kid.
No. Well, yes, he's married
with a kid.
And then they have a kid together.
Yeah, but you didn't pause, so...
My bad. So, yes, no. And he's still on Krypton, and that's sort of like, he's living life as if his planet didn't get destroyed, and he's with his parents and family, and it's really neat to see.
And his kid has an uncomfortably large chin, and it's really disturbing and distracting.
It is actually, it is a not great character design, to be honest with you.
It's like, let's just take Superman and just make him thin and short.
Yeah, it was not great.
But not do anything to his head.
However, the Jor-El character design I thought was good.
Yeah.
Which is Superman's dad. But on a different note, there's a lot of really cool fighting that goes on in this episode, where essentially Mongol is there, and they fought him before. Superman fought him in the Superman show. He's mad. He comes to he wants to destroy Earth, essentially. Superman's the only one who can stop him. So you get to watch this really desperate losing fight from Wonder Woman's perspective, where she's throwing everything she has at this guy, and he's just kind of trucking through all of it. And it's really well done, and really well, like, even she's at the whole fight, she's fighting from her heels, essentially. Like, she's losing the whole fight, but clearly throwing everything she has at this guy. Trying to stall, while Bruce is trying to get this thing.
Trying to rip all those tentacles off of Superman.
Yes. Essentially, all that happens is he gets it off, the thing jumps on Batman, and then you see Batman's fantasy as his dad stops the mugger. Who kills his, so when Joe Chill kills Martha and Thomas Wayne, the dad, Thomas, gets in the fight and stops him, is Bruce's fantasy.
Until the thing gets ripped off, then the criminal gets the upper hand and shoots him. It's kind of sad to watch. It's really sad to watch.
There's two emotional scenes that are done really, really well, which is Bruce realizes he's in a fantasy, or not Bruce,
Superman Superman realizes he's
Yes,
in a fantasy. So he takes his kid up to the roof and says, "I believe that you don't exist.
Essentially, and
You're not real."
This really sad thing where he watches what he wishes his life was explode around him.
Yeah, he holds his kid in his hands as Krypton explodes around them, and they're both crying, and it's really sad.
Yeah, it's done really well. Like it is a heart-wrenching part.
Not gonna lie, almost cried. Especially, okay, actually no, not for that one. I almost cried for Batman's, because the way they do Batman's is like
it's all black and white and really noir-esque, and then you don't see Thomas die.
Right, but
you see a shadow of a gun. It is done in illusion, which I think they don't show it
because
they leave it up to the imagination, which I think gives it more impact.
So can I explain it, or would that be going into too much?
Go for it.
Okay, so when the plant thing is wrapped around Bruce, he's walking out of the theater with his parents, and the mugger walks up, and he's about to shoot Thomas, but Thomas grabs the hand with the gun in it and points it away so that the shot doesn't hit anyone. And then he starts just wailing on this mugger and has the upper hand, and he's winning, and Bruce is cheering him on like, "Yeah, Dad, you can do it."
And you see this really neat scene where on the outside, like, you see Batman and he smiles.
And he's smiling.
Which is really neat because Batman doesn't smile, but, like, I think in this show, there's a few times Batman does smile, and it carries weight and gravity to it.
Yeah.
It's neat.
And it's just really precious seeing kid Bruce cheer on his father, who's protecting his family, and he's winning. But then really Wonder Woman starts ripping the plant off, and as she gets more and more of the plant off, you can tell that Thomas
starts to lose the fight.
Yeah, he starts to slowly lose the fight as more and more of the plant is removed, and little kid Bruce starts getting a little worried, and then Wonder Woman finally gets the plant off of Batman, and then that's the point where Thomas gets beat down by the criminal, and the criminal shoots him, and then just the look of dread on kid Bruce's face,
and again,
is just overwhelming.
The reason that I think it carries so much weight is rather than showing you this man get beat by the mugger, you see in essentially shadow and silhouette him lose the fight, and you are more focused on, like, that's kind of like on the side, and you watch Bruce's face fill with dread. And you never see him pull the trigger. You just see Bruce's face, and you see the shadows.
Then you hear the shot.
It's done so well. And, I mean, essentially, of course, what happens is, like, Batman, when they woke up Superman, he goes and fights, beats up Mongol, and is kind of winning, but then almost doesn't win, and then they throw the plant on Mongol. Mongol wraps around him.
And then we're only left to fantasize about what he dreams about.
Yeah, like whatever his fantasy. I'm assuming he destroys Earth, whatever. And then there's a fun joke where Wonder Woman was like, well, I was going to give you a plant for your birthday. I got you this rose, which is like a new type of rose that they just created that's called Krypton or Kryptonian or something. I don't remember.
Something like that, but it's just like seeing that you had a bad experience with plants. It's not really that great of a joke. Here, Bruce brought cash.
Yeah, Bruce brought cash. And then the episode ends. What is your initial response to this show?
The show, overall, what I've seen so far, 2 episodes. I usually wait 3 episodes before I pass a judgment on the show, but this show is looking up. Like, first episode, as soon as we got into it, like, I had a pretty strong feeling that I was going to be enjoying this show. Mainly because, it might be because I'm kind of a sucker for superhero shows. I really like superheroes. I like the concept of superheroes. Honestly, like, as a kid, and even now, I want to be a superhero. Like, if you don't want to be a superhero, what's wrong with you?
My desire to be a superhero or cosplay is the one thing that keeps me consistently working out. Not trying to attract the opposite sex, not anything like that. Just the fact that I want to be able to effectively cosplay as a superhero someday is the only reason I work out ever, at all.
I mean, yeah, especially when you, like, get, like, the same body type as the character you're cosplaying. There's nothing more satisfying than that. Like, when you actually, like, fill out the costume properly.
It is. I've never done it. It is something I'm looking forward to.
I did it once. It was great.
And trying to do as we speak. Anyway, it's a very good show.
One day you'll be a nice Nightwing.
I'm freaking working on it, man. I'm psyched. But more importantly, it's a good show. I'm psyched to talk about the more of this show. I think that this season only gets better from here on out. There's some really neat characters that are kind of mainstays for this season that we're going to meet very soon, and I'm psyched to do so. That's going to kind of do it for our review shows, but first some housekeeping things real quick. If you enjoyed this and you'd like to really help us out and would not like to spend any dollars and it can still help us out, if you hop on over to iTunes,
drop a 5-star rating on us.
Yeah, spend some of those precious life minutes of yours. You don't have to spend any of your dollars. Give us a 5-star rating. It's going to really help us out in kind of the sponsorship realm, get some clout as a podcast.
Yeet.
If you would like to kind of help us out in a more direct, money-oriented way, there's a donate button on the WackMatters website. Feel free to drop over there and donate a little bit of money if you kind of just want to help us out a little bit. Or
you could donate to my personal Patreon.
We don't have Patreon. What? You have a Patreon for real?
No.
Oh. No.
I mean, if people want to pay me, I'll make a Patreon.
Just give Karsten money, whatever.
Do it.
If you want to kind of help us out and get something a little bit for your money besides just helping us out, we have t-shirts. There's a merch link on the website. You can go and buy yourself a WackMatters shirt. We have a gray one and a black one. I think they're very comfortable, nice shirts. I think the logo turned out very well.
They are really great shirts.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, and I'm not just saying that. I know even if I was just saying that, because it's the website that I'm working for, their t-shirt, I'm also legitimately not just saying that. It's a nice t-shirt. I'm a fan of them. Also, feel free to go and check out Audible. Audible is the best way, I think, to kind of get audiobooks from like an online subscription.
If lazy Americans who don't like taking time out of your day to like read words off of a page.
Or here's the thing, even if you do like to do that, like you're mowing the lawn, or it's getting cold here in the Midwest, or if you're somewhere where it kind of snows a lot, like...
Wait, it's not normal to like read a book while mowing the lawn?
You would. Whatever. Like while you're mowing the lawn, while you're driving to work, while you're doing some of these things.
Heck, while you're in the shower.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to podcasts while I'm in the shower. So after, like, let's say you listen to the 2 podcasts that WackMatters is offering. You're like, oh, shoot, what am I supposed to do? What's supposed to give me that good ear feel? The answer is Audible. You can get some cool audiobooks. A good all-ages audiobook, I think, that you could kind of listen to as a family would be any of the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
I think are all really, really good, really fun
Except
fantasy
for The Horse
stories.
and His Boy. That one's kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm in the minority. I like Horse and His Boy. However, I understand why most people don't. I was a fan of Horse and His Boy, though. However, the whole time I was like, this doesn't have a ton of bearing on the rest of the story like all of them do.
No, it's just like a...
Or Caspian. Caspian's the worst one. I think. Not a lot happens in Caspian. It's just as long as the rest of them, but nothing really happens.
Honestly, the best one's probably the first one and the last one, in my opinion.
I can get behind that. The last thing, of course, is I want to thank you for listening. I've been your host, Marcus Nip, with my co-host,
Tuberculosis,
Karsten Miller, and I want to remind you to tune
in next time.
Week. Dang it, time.
You messed it up, dude.